it would be so nice if something would make sense for a change, but everything has been getting curiouser and curiouser. Well, I decided I would read you a book about an adventure that I had when I was a little girl, and maybe we can all have an adventure together. That's me. Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Alice. That's me. In the summer afternoons, Alice spent long hours reading aloud with her sister in the garden. One day, she was bored and about to fall asleep when suddenly she saw a curious white rabbit running breathlessly toward her. "Poor me, how late it is! I am so very late," repeated the rabbit to himself, looking nervously at his watch. The little rabbit, hurrying about in his vest, rushed into the entrance of a deep den. Alice was curious and decided to follow him. "This den is quite strange," Alice murmured as she stepped into the darkness. Suddenly, a hole opened in front of her, and the little girl tumbled down. She fell gently, slowed by her fluffy skirt. Arriving at the bottom of the hole, Alice found herself in a room full of tiny doors. Through a keyhole, Alice saw a beautiful garden. Unfortunately, the door was locked. Determined to open the door, Alice looked around and found a bottle labeled with a note. Written on the note were the words, "Drink me." The invitation was clear. The little girl tasted the contents. Suddenly, Alice began to shrink smaller and smaller. She became so small that her fingers were the size of pinheads. Then she passed through the lock. Alice strolled cheerfully in the wondrous garden on the other side of the door until she stumbled upon the White Rabbit's cottage. The cottage was so charming that the little girl went inside to look around, and there she saw another bottle and again decided to drink its contents. Alice then began to grow and grow, becoming so big that her head touched the ceiling. Another sip and humph! She was once again very small. Tired and confused, she decided to leave the bottle and continue her journey. Alice walked on until she noticed smoke signals that formed the letters of the alphabet. A-E-I-O-U. "Who are you?" asked a voice. The voice belonged to a remarkable blue caterpillar, quietly smoking his pipe. "My name is Alice, and I would like to be as tall as before," replied the little girl. The caterpillar handed Alice a mushroom and explained that by tasting one side she would grow, and by eating the other she would shrink. Now Alice was ready to continue on her way, but the path became impassable, and soon the little girl was lost. She saw a strange smiling cat curled up in a tree and asked for directions. "In this land they are all crazy," the bizarre creature concluded after helping her, just before vanishing into thin air. Finding the path once again, Alice came to a clearing where she found a party going on. The Mad Hatter and the March Hare, two outlandish characters, were having a very odd conversation, sipping tea and laughing themselves to tears. "Merry unbirthday, little girl," they said in chorus. "What is an unbirthday?" Alice asked, astonished. It is a birthday party when it is not your birthday, of course, the two declared. One certainly could not argue with that. Disoriented and exhausted by all the strange things happening around her, Alice decided that it was time to return home. However, the road was becoming narrower and more winding. It led Alice to a dense maze where the little girl lost her sense of direction once again. White roses, we shall paint you red as fast as we can. But what was this chorus of voices? The little girl followed the voices and found herself in front of 3 playing cards. They were busy with paintbrushes and paint buckets among the rose bushes. The cards were gardeners for the evil Queen of Hearts. Why are you painting the flowers? Alice asked. The queen wants only red roses, and if she sees but one white rose, she'll cut off our heads, explained one of the playing cards, trembling like a leaf. The Queen of Hearts, who watched over the maze, saw the stranger wandering about and invited Alice to challenge her on the croquet field. Alice, against her will, agreed and found herself playing a bizarre game in which the mallets were flamingos, the balls were curled up hedgehogs, and the hoops were the playing cards folded upon themselves. The queen was about to win, but how funny! The cat suddenly appeared on the queen's head, with a mischievous smile intent on making fun of her. The magical cat vanished in an instant, as quickly as it had appeared, but now the queen was enraged. Furious, she took her anger out on Alice. "Off with her head!" she shouted to her servants. The little girl found herself in a sea of trouble. It was time to escape. Alice ran away as fast as she could, but "Alice, wake up!" exclaimed her sister in the shade of their garden. Oh, but it was only a dream. Alice realized she had fallen asleep and understood with a little sadness that the fantastic, extraordinary Wonderland was only the fruit of her imagination. The end. And thank you for sharing this story with me and allowing me to share my Wonderland with you.